A 16-year-old has just been jailed for joining a banned neo-Nazi group. And this wasn't a case about one stupid post or a dark joke gone too far. Police said they found 4.8 terabytes of data, more than 253,000 messages, links to 25 extreme right chat groups, weapons, extremist material, and research into a synagogue and key infrastructure. The most disturbing part is not only what was found. It's how a teenager's private online world turned into a real terrorism case. And that is why this story matters. Because when most people hear a headline like this, the instinct is to treat it like another isolated horror story. One bad kid. One dark obsession. One extreme case. But the details here tell a different story. They point to something much more uncomfortable: how a teenager can move from private chats and online identity games into a case serious enough to end in prison. The boy, who cannot be named for legal reasons, was sentenced on March 27th after being convicted of membership of a prescribed organization and terror publication offenses. He got 3.5 years in custody, plus 1 year on extended license and a 3-year criminal behavior order. Now, one detail matters right away: the jury did not convict him of preparing acts of terrorism. They failed to reach a verdict on that charge, and prosecutors later said there would be no retrial. That distinction matters, and we should keep it precise. But even with that count unresolved, the convictions that did stick were serious enough to put a 16-year-old in prison. Police arrested him in February 2025 at his home in Northumberland. Counter Terrorism Policing said officers recovered 4.8 terabytes of data and 253,005 messages, and said he had been part of 25 extreme right online chat groups across platforms including Telegram, Snapchat, TikTok, and Wire. That is not a random browse history. That is a digital environment. A system. A pipeline. Then you get to what officers found in the real world. According to police and court reporting, there were knives, a crossbow, airsoft rifles, body armor, masks, flags, and components to make explosives. Jurors also heard about journal entries targeting pupils at his school, a list of weapons and explosives, and research into a Newcastle synagogue, electrical substations, and mobile phone towers. That is the point where this stops being a story about awful ideas on the internet and becomes a story about escalation. Because the scariest part of this case is not just that a teenager held extremist beliefs. It's that the online world did not stay online. It bled into planning, identity, and behavior. The court also heard that his activity escalated after he contacted the base on Telegram in August 2024. Sky News reported that a Russian user claiming to be the leader of the group encouraged him to act and told him, "We're willing to help you." His defense said he had been groomed online. The judge rejected the idea that he never truly held those beliefs, saying he had no doubt the boy was lying when he denied them. And that brings us to the bigger question: what exactly is the base? It was outlawed in the UK in July 2021 as an extreme right-wing terrorist organisation. The Home Office said it is a white supremacist group, and Counter Terrorism Policing said the prescription lets police pursue people aligned with or joining it. Under UK law, membership or inviting support for a prescribed group can carry up to 14 years in prison. So this is not a case about a teenager drifting into offensive content and getting a slap on the wrist. It is a case about a banned organisation, online grooming claims, extremist material, and a court deciding that the behaviour crossed the line into terrorism offences. That should cut through any temptation to downplay it as just online talk. But this is also where the story gets bigger than one defendant. Official Prevent statistics show that in England and Wales, 11 to 15-year-olds were the largest age group referred in the year ending March 2025. There were 8,778 referrals, the highest number in any year, and referrals rose sharply after the July 2024 Southport attack, although the Home Office says those trends cannot be directly attributed to that event alone. That does not mean every referral becomes a terrorism case. Most do not. But it does show something important: this problem is young, digital, and close to home. Counter Terrorism Policing has repeatedly warned that extreme online content can have real-life consequences, and this case shows exactly what that warning looks like when it is ignored for too long. And that's why this story is so disturbing. It's not only about one teenager in one bedroom in Northumberland. It's about how easily hate can be fed, sharpened, and organized in private spaces adults rarely see. A phone, a laptop, a group chat, a persona. Then one day, it shows up in court as evidence. The uncomfortable takeaway is that radicalization does not always announce itself with a huge public moment first. Sometimes it looks like isolation, secret chats, roleplay that stops being roleplay, fascination with violence, obsession turning into structure. And by the time the outside world catches up, the person at the center of it is still a child, but the consequences are already adult. So when you see the headline "Teen Jailed for Belonging to Banned Neo-Nazi Group," the real story is not just the shock of the sentence. It's the pipeline behind it. How it built, who missed it, and how many more cases are starting in exactly the same place, behind a locked screen.